baby, real talk.
Excuse me, I'm really excited because this week we got the Francis Ashman and our first lady. Do you know? Hang on,
Hi.
can I just help you out?
Oh, okay. I'm not looking real pretty.
Podcast, you look pretty, and I want you to sound gorgeous.
Oh God. Yeah, that's the thing. My voice sounds different on the mic, through the mic, than it does to me. When I listen back, I thought, oh, it's quite Aussie.
Because you can hear it just now.
Yeah.
In the test recording we did. Hey, people want to know who you are. We are now. We're recording. I got Francis Ashman. Francis Ashman is maybe the funniest comedian in Bunbury.
No.
Look at it. I just was waiting. The funniest comedian in Bunbury.
Yeah, no. I'm funny. I know I'm funny, but doing it on stage is different to having a few beers and doing it around, making jokes around, clicking off, like sparking off people,
You can do both.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I don't know how to spark off people when I'm half cut.
People.
I was stoned.
You don't. Do you go stoned to the show? Say, guys, we perform stand up together.
Yeah.
You go stoned to the shows.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
No, you don't know the difference. I know it's always been that way. When I was a kid, we were into more, LSD and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I was the one they always had to send to the store because I was the one that could keep my cool. I never got bloodshot eyes, those red eyes and that. And there's a friend of ours, you can always tell when she's sharp.
What did she do?
I'm not saying anything on this. I could tell you in private, but you'd have to stop the video. I wouldn't say anything.
Okay.
I shouldn't have even said that, actually. Can you edit that bit out?
I can, but we don't say her name or anything. But yeah, I can edit out whatever you want.
Yeah, I thought you might have noticed.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously haven't.
Notice what?
No, I think the group is too small.
Group.
Yeah.
Don't talk about anything. I don't want to do a lot of editing.
No.
We love to
this
hear some
bit,
spicy.
That's the beginning. My life, when I was thinking about it, I thought when you were saying, and I went, what is it? and I think it can be summed up.
What are we talking about now? Did
My
you say your
life.
life?
My life. Yeah. When you summed up in two things, I reckon, is I go where angels fear to tread. Okay? And I'll always jump in the deep end, and I'm always chasing rainbows and pots of gold. That's the three things I reckon.
You chase pots of gold.
My mum always said that.
What pot of gold do you chase? Hang on.
Oh, what's different
what
things
pot
are
of-
different? Go on.
Give me a chance to embarrass myself with my accents. I'm really trying to work on my impression. What pot of gold do you be chasing now, Nan?
None. Usually it's men.
Well, hang on. You said, well, that's spicy. You're chasing pots of gold, but you're taking a break from that now. Normally it's men.
No, well, yeah, I'm too old for that now. I was thinking more of when I was young, But even now, the last adventure that I had was a complete fucking disaster.
Tell me more.
Well, I met a girl and she was from Uganda, and we fell in together. She actually helped me.
What does that mean? Hang on. What does that mean? You fell in together?
Yeah, fell in together as friends.
Uh-huh.
She would have parties. I would go there. I would sleep over. I'd look after her boy. She had a young boy, and we became, I thought, good friends. And then she had some land in Uganda, right? And I had actually finished. What? excuse me, people, but we will cut this bit out after.
We won't.
I have no fucking idea why he's laughing. Well, it was the falling in together you didn't realise or something. Is that something?
I just want to pretend I don't know where this is going. Come on, like, let's see. Come on, please.
So anyway, I went to Uganda. She was buying some land and she wanted me to take the money over there. So I went over there and had a holiday. And I owned a house, or I was paying off a house in Girraween.
You went, I really want to, so you went to a Uganda on holiday. And you stayed at her house?
At her mother's. Her mother was still living in Uganda.
At her mother's place?
And most of her family is still in Uganda.
Okay.
So I stayed with them. And my mama they live in kind of compounds, you know, they're big walled enclosures. So like South, I don't know whether you've seen sort of pictures of South Africa. And
I've been to really poor countries.
Yeah, and they, you know, it's all compounds there, big high walls. And Mama's had apartments, what we wouldn't call them apartments, we'd call them rooms, but, you know, and some of them they would be 2 rooms with a bathroom, toilet, you know. Toilet, and there was, but in the middle of all this, it was quite a big area of land, would have been near an acre, I reckon. She's got 5 cows living in a...
So she did have land?
Yeah, she had some land.
Okay, because if it wasn't obvious, I thought that you were talking about some scam.
No, it wasn't scamming at all. No. And so I lived there with them, you know, and they took me around and whatever. But the thing was, it wasn't... In Australia, it wouldn't happen. You can't have an apartment block and have 5 cows, and they lived in like bays. They didn't go out to fields or anything. They were fed, you know. It's a way like enclosing them. I'm not going to go into it. They had a cesspit, probably about half the size of this room, and I don't know how deep, right? Where every day the boys that looked after the cows swept all the shit into this cesspit. And this is open. There's no top on it, except the crust. It used to get a bit of a crust. But yeah, and this is in the middle of the apartment block. She had goats, she had sheep, and they used to be tethered out on the road.
Why were you there?
Well, I was
For
there
vacation?
for a holiday. I took the money over for my friend so that she was buying a piece of land. So I helped in a negotiation and all that shit.
You, a rich white foreigner in Uganda, were helping in a negotiation to buy
land.
a bit of land.
She was buying it. I was just there looking like I was cool. I didn't fucking do anything. Mind you, when we handed the money over, because we had to put it...
It was her money, not yours.
No, it wasn't my money. I just carried it. Because it was better that way.
Why?
Because when you carry that much money, you're supposed to declare it.
When you carry that much money...
And that much money is recorded. And the thing is, there's sort of rules, you know, and the money, if it was her mother's, it would be all right. But because if it was Australian money, you know, you can't, there was rules. So anyway, look, whether the rules are right, and people, you can look this up, you know, Google this later. Anyway, I ended up with money, went over there, and we ended up with, it was funny, we're all sitting under this bloody big tree in plastic chairs, right? And there was all these people, I don't know who they all were, and we're counting the money. The guy who drove us in his truck, he counted it. I counted it. Mama counted it. You know, the guy who were buying it off, he counted it. His brother counted it. They were counting it for fucking an hour. Just counting and making sure it was all there. I don't know. And then the guy comes, the young guy, he was a young guy, he came from the government, and he had a book. There was no official forms, because the book, he had a book, and it was like, you know, the exercise books you get for school, but they're a little bigger. I think they call them foolscap. You know how you have A4 and then you have foolscap. They're books like that. Kids use them for writing in at school, and usually they've got holes down the side. He had something like that. And so he draws all this up in pen, right? And because there was something about, it had to have, he had to let her have right of access, because where the land wasn't actually on the road. It was sort of set back or something, and so he had to say yes, she could have a bit of his property to have a road into her property. But anyway, but it was just funny. So the official, he comes as well. There was sort of, I don't know what he would have been. He was like administrating, you know, the titles and deeds or something he'd be, you know. And then the guy, because they all ride boaters, they're called, motorbikes, and there's no taxis. Nobody has a car. You're lucky if you got a bloody bicycle, you know. And he comes out on the boat or on the motorbike, you know, and he's there and he's got this bag. It's like a plastic bag, and he's got his stamps in there. That's why he come. He had to stamp this bit of paper to make it all legal. You know, it was just, and we're all sitting under a tree with a little coffee table from the house up the road, you know. They let us use the coffee table. It's unbelievable to what we know, the way we live, you know. Uh-huh. So I was there, and I like the animals, you know. And I came home to my house, and anyway, the ranger had come. And what we'd done, I decided that there was, by this time Maggie had moved into my house, all right?
Who's Maggie?
Maggie is my friend, the Ugandan friend that I went to see her mother in Uganda.
Who didn't come with you, right? You flew there
alone.
alone.
I went by myself,
yeah.
I mean, the family picked me up at the airport and that. Mm-hmm. But, I went by myself the first time I went. And I stayed a couple of months. And then I came home, and what had happened was I decided to have chooks, and in my front yard there was a perfect area beside my driveway, and I made a really nice chook yard with a little house. It was a big area and only had a few chooks, you know. Oh no, the ranger come. I couldn't have the chooks in the front yard. There was all these rules. And I had what I thought was a chook, and it turned out to be a rooster, bantam rooster. Thought it was a bantam. I just thought it was just half grown or something. And so I had to move them all into the backyard, which wasn't really good in the summer because they have, you know, they're a bit flyy. You have flies if you have chooks and stuff, you know. Got to keep it clean. I didn't like that. And I thought, you know, I couldn't. And then when I went to Uganda and I was there, and Mama had the cows and the goats and the sheep all in the bloody middle of the apartment compound, you know. And nobody batted an eyelid, you know. It's just part of the deal. And, and so I thought, bugger this. And Maggie was buying this property. That was a farm. But she also had a block of land, which I would say would be probably half an acre, something between a quarter acre. It was a bit bigger than a quarter acre. And she said that it would only cost about $50,000 to build a house on it. And so we made a deal, right, that I would go to Uganda because I had decided I would sell my house. So I had that money. And
This is not a scam story. Again,
no. Well,
did you pay? You didn't pay for the house or anything.
Yeah, I paid for the house. This is the problem. I paid for the house, and it was her land. And the deal, and I had actually lent her money, right? And the deal was that I would build this house for $50,000, right? 50,000 Australian dollars. What is that? People pay more than that for a car. You know what I mean? This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in a compound with a wall around it and 3 shops in the front. You know, and their idea of a shop is just a room. Well, it's actually 2 rooms, so they live in one room and have the other room as a shop. So this is what we did. But what happened was she had previously borrowed money from me, and the deal was going to be that when she was going to work in New Zealand, because she does all this community care stuff and she was pretty high up, and she would send me money. She would, like a pension, and she would send me money. $50 Australian is nothing. It is, to us, is nothing, but over there, $50 Australian is 100,000, which is enough to live on. And pay people to work for you. And so that was the deal. But when I got there, I had to wait for the house to be built. That was all right. I stayed with Mama and, you know. And then the house was built and I moved in and Maggie disappeared. She didn't, it was Christmas and she didn't turn up for Christmas. She didn't turn up at all. She blocked me.
Maggie's the mum.
No, Maggie is the daughter that I lent $50,000 to.
To build the house. She didn't.
No. $50,000 I lent her.
Oh, it was just a loan.
That was a loan.
And you paid to build the house too.
And I paid to build the house. And what it meant was I worked. Anyway, she disappeared.
She disappeared from she was staying at your place.
Yeah, she was in.
You were still in Uganda though.
Yeah, we were both in Uganda by this time.
Oh, she came to Uganda.
She came on the second time I went. She came to Uganda with me.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I mixed that up. Yeah,
this is kind of a scam.
Yeah, and she disappeared.
It's 100% a scam.
But the thing was, I ended up with no money. And I had to make a decision.
I'm sorry this happened to you.
Oh, no, it's all right. It's long, well, 2 years ago now. I've been here for 2 years now.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. 2 years is not that long ago. Well,
the thing is, you've got to remember it was all my super. All the money from my house. Right? All the money from my house. And so... I ended up, when I came, so I had to make a decision. She wasn't there. I didn't have any money. My daughters were sending me money. One daughter was getting shitty at me because I was asking her for money because I didn't have anything to eat, and there was me and Anna, the girl I lived with. She was the only thing. She was fucking working. And so I came back, so I decided I think it was the 6th of July, I can't remember now, I would wait that long. And if she didn't contact me, because her mother kept telling me, oh, you wait, she'll contact you. And I said, I can't wait, I've got no money. And Mama was feeding me a lot of the time. I'd go there and she'd give me food to take home, which is basically ugali, which is their corn. Because like porridge, corn, it's made from maize flour.
I'm picturing it.
Yeah. And beans or cabbage. That was the mainstay, And, so, and I was like down to about 60 kilos. I couldn't eat. And I wasn't using my medication properly because of a stupid bitch. What I thought, I could go over there with 6 months' supply of medication, right? And no guarantee of what she was going to do for me. And I was going to stay there 5 years. I wanted to establish a farm. I wanted to have goats and, and passion. There were things. There was like passion fruit is really a good seller over there. I had strawberries growing. I had bananas planted in my compound. I was ready to rock and roll. I just didn't have any money, I was living on. I went to Mama's one day and said, I need food. She said, have you got food? I said, I've got potatoes. She said, then you come back when you haven't got any food. And that's what we had, potatoes. I'm talking, we had potatoes. That's all we had. And if it hadn't been for Anna, I would have fucking starved to death, I can tell you now. Yeah, Anna was another story, though,
Did she send you money? Western Union?
No. Anna was the girl. What had happened? Anna was at Mama's house, and there was always kids and people coming. I never, and she was helping Mama out, and I thought, but it worked out that Mama had brought up two boys, Isaac and Fred, and Isaac and Anna were lovers, and she got pregnant. And when the child was born, it was actually choked by the umbilical cord. And anyway, and this was like maybe it wasn't very long. It was like a month or something like that, that this had happened. And when I moved into my house, she moved with me. That was the reason they had already arranged this, that she should come with me. Because I had no fucking idea. I had a gas ring, right? But gas is really expensive comparatively, and everybody uses the charcoal stoves, these little round charcoal stoves. I couldn't get the bloody thing to start. It was all right when you had paraffin, I think they use. Put paraffin in,
What's paraffin?
Paraffin oil. It's sort of some derivative of petrol or something. It'd be a bit like kerosene. We'd probably use kerosene, but they have this paraffin oil. They use it for lamps as well, I think. And if you had that was all right, but if you didn't have any money, you didn't buy it.
Uh-huh.
But they had this really good way. They pile up the charcoal in this little stove. They're sort of about that round, and they had very thick side on them and little sort of metal pieces where the pots would step. And they're probably about that high. They're on the floor, And so you pile in the charcoal, and then they'd get a plastic bag, because everything you got, they put in a bloody plastic bag. If you went to 10 shops, you'd end up with 10 plastic bags, So you always had plastic bags, and you'd find them on the road. And they'd knot it up and sort of scrunch it up, and then light it, right? And as it you can make it burn the plastic bag, and it would drip onto the charcoal, and of course it would burn there, and it would start the charcoal burning. But there was kind of an art to it. You had to sort of put small pieces on top, and you had to make it so it would melt enough to drip onto the charcoal. It was a pain in the fucking ass, I can tell you. I never could do it,
Okay.
Yeah.
While you were trying to learn the technique of dripping the
I'd go
plastic.
I'd go through heaps of bloody bags trying to get the bloody thing to light.
On the bags.
Yeah.
Did you ever think in one of those moments, maybe I'll just go home?
No. That,
You know.
See, that stuff never...
Good on you for sticking out through that moment. I'm not going to accuse you of being crazy. I've done similar.
I'd wash, people get all upset, but, for the whole time I was there, I washed in a bowl. I didn't have a shower. There was no shower, right? And you were lucky if the electric was going, you could boil the kettle, and you could actually have a hot shower, warm bath. But it was like what they call a sponge bath or something, you know. But my mum used to say, you wash down as far as possible, you wash up as far as possible, and then you wash possible.
Whose mum said that?
My mum.
How did she know you were going to be sponge bathing yourself with paraffin in Uganda?
When she was in America, they lived by the shore. Where the fucking shore was, I don't know. They tell this story, and she says that was how they had to wash. This was in like just after the Second World War.
Why do they wash that? One more time. Top down.
Yeah.
Top down.
From wash down as far as possible, wash up as far as possible, and then wash possible.
Well, I can wash a long way down. I can wash all the way down from my head to my...
Yeah, I know, but it's the joke of it. You're taking it too serious.
I don't get it. Possible?
Yeah, possible. It was a way, you know, you usually wash your arms and your body down to your fanny, and then you wash from, you know, your legs, and then this is possible is the punchline. So you're washing down as far as possible, up as far as possible, and then you wash possible.
Well, it's impossible for me.
No, I've got heaps of bloody jokes like that from my parents. Yeah.
Yeah, what's another one?
There was always one. There was little Johnny, because Johnny's a little dickhead, you know.
Who's Johnny?
Johnny's a little boy. He's just a kid, you know. The usual bloody neighbourhood kid that's always getting into trouble, you know.
What did he do?
And anyway, what happened was he's there and he's trying to get this. He's got a cracker, you know, Chinese cracker. He's trying to get this up this cat's ass, you see, and so anyway, as he's doing this, right, and this preacher comes past, and he said, "What are you doing there, son?" He said, "Oh, you know, I'm trying to make this I'm trying to make this cat go fast." And the preacher says to him, I'm not exactly sure, but the idea is, preacher pulls out this little bottle of holy water, and he said, I sprinkled this on a woman's belly, and she passed a child, you know. And little Johnny says, the last cat I shoved the cracker up his ass, he passed a Jaguar. The Jaguar car.
I got it.
Yeah. So you didn't laugh, see, I'm waiting for the laugh. I'm waiting for the laugh. Yeah. And there was the other one. There's three little boys on the side of sitting on the bottom, and they're looking at these three cars, and there was like a Jaguar, a Mercedes, and I don't know, what's another fancy car? Doesn't really Ferrari. And anyway, and the three little boys there, and one little kid says, you know, when I grow up, I'm going to be a lawyer, and I'll be able to buy one of those cars. And the next kid goes, yeah, well, I reckon I'll be a doctor or a dentist. I'll get one of those cars, be able to buy one of those cars. And little Johnny, of course, he said, I'm going to have hair all over my body. And they said, what are you talking about? Hair all over your body. He said, well, my sister's only got that much, and she owns all three of those cars.
Because she's a slut.
Because she's a prostitute.
Oh,
my father used to tell me, because he used to go up to Perth with a milk tanker 100 years ago, and it was in Rose Street, you know, in North Perth, and where the Peters factory is there, I don't know whether it's still there, and take the milk up. And he said that there were prostitutes then, you know, in bordellos, I think they were, you know, they were not street prostitutes. And he said the one girl, he always commented that this one girl, she used to get out and she had a big MG, you know. So it was a lucrative thing to do, become a prostitute.
So while you were melting that plastic bag in Uganda on the fire, No problem. Love a good prostitute story. Did you meet any prostitutes? No, don't tell us about Ugandan prostitutes.
Oh, I think there were, but I didn't really know. You know,
Of course there are.
yeah, oh yeah. I thought they were working girls. I would see girls around, Um, up further. God, I can't remember the name of the town now. It was where Uganda and Kenya met, and it was a border crossing. This town, Toronto, I think, and it was a border crossing, and you ought to see. I couldn't believe the amount of trucks coming and going. It was just incredible. They're all parked, and they've got to get through customs, and they're like parked along the side of the road for a good mile, right? And they're people, the guys are in the trucks waiting for their turn, I suppose. And the people are coming with baskets of stuff to sell them cool drinks and food and stuff like that. But girls were also walking down the line as well. And within, not very far from that road, there was a market with food and stalls and stuff. And there was kind of girls positioned, it was kind of positioned in there, Man.
Okay. Did you think about joining the queue?
Too old. They all thought I had money.
You would have got something.
I would have been in the kinky section. Well, that's what when I went
Special
to Korea.
interest.
That'd be me, yeah.
White and old.
What did they grab a granny night? They used to have at the Parade Hotel. They used to have grab a granny night on a Thursday. That's what they called it, Yeah, 100 years ago now.
Why was it called Grab a Granny?
I don't know.
I don't
Because
know.
I think a lot of older women went out and on the night. Maybe it was, I don't know, really. Why they called it? Because I used to go there and gamble. They had roulette wheels and that years ago in the parade. Don't think they do it now, do they?
Did you do any gambling in Uganda?
Nah.
Only with your life, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, my life. Yeah, riding a boat around.
I want to hear how far you took it Uganda before you decided to.
Yeah, well, I got to the stage where I had run out of money completely, and my daughter sent me like $300, and that actually was enough for me to live for quite a while. But then I realised that I had to make a decision, and I was getting sick all the time, and I didn't have money. It's not like here, there's no Medicare or anything, you have to buy it. And it was lucky that Isaac was working, that's Anna's partner. He drove cars, so he would go to Kenya, pick up the cars. They ship them in from Japan or wherever they're coming from, right? Because Uganda's landlocked, so any cars coming to Uganda would have to be driven, into Uganda because there's, So he was a driver. It was probably cheaper than putting them on a truck. I don't know. So that's what he did. He drove cars and he would drive them to Kampala and then come home. So he'd be away sometimes a couple of weeks, because sometimes they had to wait for him, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
But, and he would pay for the medication. I had malaria. They thought I had malaria.
It's very kind of this
if it hadn't
family
been for him, he would come with food for us.
who had collectively scammed you out of about $100,000
Yeah.
to buy a couple of pills for you. Didn't you? Why didn't you get a fucking?
Isaac wasn't. Isaac was Mama's.
He wasn't in on it.
No, there was nothing to do with him. Isaac he didn't even live there. When Anna was staying with Mama, it was only short term.
Uh-huh.
She sort of turned up, and I didn't really know who she was until she...
Anna?
Yeah, Anna, the one that lived
The
with me.
sister of the one.
No, Anna wasn't a sister. Isaac and Fred had been brought up by Mama because their mother was cuckoo. I don't know whether they were related or something. There's a lot of that. I mean, Hope turned up. Hope was this little kid. She was 6, I think, at the time. She was ready to go to school, so she must have been 6. One day, Hope turns up with a chook. And she was there, no shoes. Oh, did she have a pair of shoes? Yeah, I think she probably had a pair of plastic shoes. And that was it. So and her sister was already staying with Mama, and she was, what they do is the kids, Mama pays for their education and they work for Mama, right? So they get to go to school, but they have to basically work for it. So they do the drudgery,
Sounds like Fagin in Oliver.
Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't sound like a nice lady. She sounds like an old...
She is and she isn't.
She's recruiting children to
but
work
they all
for her.
do it.
She had sent... She scammed you to build a house for her. And
No,
you
that
made
was that was her daughter, not Mama. No, that was the daughter, Maggie. She, my friend Maggie, you know, she was the one. I mean, she did have some bad luck while she was there. She was in a car accident, ripped a big mark on her.
Who, the mama?
No, Maggie. She was driving down to the capital in what they call, their little shuttle buses, you know, and had a big accident and rolled over, and yeah. And it's not like here, you know. You can die because, there's no ambulance comes, Police came and put them into this truck they had and took them to the hospital.
Glad you got your pills. Frank was buying your pills for you?
Medication? He bought medication for me, because I didn't have any money. And I had malaria, and so you have a week, like you have to take these tablets. First they put you on a drip, where they feed you, they put some stuff in, you have to go twice a day to the nurse, and then you take tablets, and it's sort of about a week you're right, It's a pain in the ass, I tell you, it's a terrible disease.
So after recovering from malaria...
Yeah, twice I had malaria.
Twice?
Yeah. Thought I was going to die.
And then you went home.
Then I came home. I decided by this date, I think it was somewhere in June or July, I can't remember now, that by that date, if she hadn't contacted me, then I would. And God bless my friends. I got a couple of friends in Perth, got a little bit of money. And God bless them. They said, Francis, if you need to come home, we'll pay. And they paid the money for the airfare and a hotel that night, which wasn't bad. Had a hot shower for once ever. For the first time in a couple of years, I had a hot shower. It was great. Big towels, air conditioning. I thought I was in heaven.
I know how you feel. And that's a wild story, Nan. That's...
You always call me Nan.
Yeah, because you are like my Nan.
Yeah, I know. But
You're such a lovely lady.
No.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I haven't been is a whore.
Damn it, there's still time.
For the kinky sex. I don't know. It's probably grown back.
Can you take that 20 baht?
What's that for?
That's about $4. That's for sex with me.
There's a young man on that picture.
That's the king. We don't do jokes about the king because we want this podcast to go out
I don't
in
know
Thailand.
nothing about him. I don't really know nothing about Thailand. I've always steered away from Thailand. I think I was... why would it... It doesn't matter to me. It's the sex trade that upsets me.
Can we hear more about that? I'd love to hear. We could share. Well, there's a lot.
Yeah,
I could educate you on the sex.
Yeah, well, that's
trade
what I mean.
In time,
I mean, I've only seen documentaries, but it's always turned me off.
Turned you off or on?
Yeah, it turned me off. You know.
It turns me off too.
Oh no, you know.
But
I love the lady boys.
We got to wrap it up. I could hear more about your that and your love for lady boys.
Love lady boys and drag queens and things.
But we got to wrap it up. That story's dope as fuck, man. That's wild. That's wild.
Well,
That's some
anyway,
wild
yeah.
shit.
So, yeah, you better cut some of it out. I think you better cut some of that bit about the... I'm repeating that about the girl because it's just too easy to be, pointed at. She would actually know. I shouldn't have said it at all.
Don't worry.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's... wait, before we finish...
How long have we been talking then?
About 45
minutes. Yeah.
But there's one thing I got to know. How do you feel now about that?
What, Uganda?
How do you feel about what you just told me? What happened
I'm
to you?
disappointed, really.
I can tell that. I can tell that you're disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, the money, I was born with nothing. I'm going to die with nothing. I'd be lucky if, I'd probably get enough to bury me, but...
You worked for that money, though.
Yeah, I suppose I did. It wasn't the money, it was the adventure. You see? I wanted the farm. I'd gone through 2 husbands, and both of them have promised me a farm, and I got one, and then he fucking wanted to have another wife, so that fucked it up.
Fucking men. They're disgusting.
Men. Disgusting. I was bad, That's what my mum says. I'm always chasing rainbows. That's what was her opinion. But I know I'd jump in the deep end. I mean, if you said to me I need brain surgery and, we're out in the middle of the desert, I'd go, well, can we sterilise some knives? I'll have a go. What do you reckon? I'm like that.
Oh, would you would do that for me?
Yeah. Yeah, if there wasn't a doctor within 100 miles...
You would do brain surgery on me with a rusty potato peel. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Nan.
But you know what I mean? That's jump in the deep end, And like when I was doing computing...
We really got to wrap...
Yeah, we got to
I would love to hear about that. Will you come on again, please?
Yeah, sometime. But you don't do it too often because people get bored.
That's been... Oh, never. This has been Real Talk. This is Francis Ashman. Francis, where can people see you?
Oh, at the Comedy Connect. We're going to be at the Lyric next Friday. Now, I'm not quite sure of the dates after that, but if you go to...
That'll be Friday here... Bunbury, Australia, Friday the 27th of June at the New Lyric Theatre, 7 p.m.
That's good. There's good parking. I thought of that when I pulled in today. No, but, when you go into town, you got to go, where am I going to park? You can't get in along the streets. You got to park like in Coles or something a mile away. But I'm going to mention that when I go out on the street on Thursday. Have you got those sheets for me ready?
I have.
Okay.
Guys, if you get hard for parking too, come on down.
No, but that was one of the things I was going to...
so much.
Yeah, and the Lyric's cheap. The drinks are cheap.
And the show is free.
And the show is free. So you've got it everywhere.
Thanks for coming.
No worries.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Do we turn it off now?
Yeah, you don't have to. It's so fun.